There's a lot of parts that I'm excited about, but the opportunity to work with Mats might be the most exciting. To come across someone that is not only the best player, but the captain, the leader, the best person, the hardest worker. It's a really unique combination. And then obviously, coming back to Toronto, I know what it means to him. I know he doesn't have to do this. It's not a job. It's a mission for him, and he's coming back to get a job done.
2 straight Stanley Cup finals, back to back. The Edmonton Oilers put together back-to-back runs all the way to the biggest stage in hockey, and for a moment, it really felt like this was their window, their dynasty in the making. But windows don't stay open forever, and the 2026 playoffs made that painfully clear. Round 1, gone. Swept away by the Anaheim Ducks, their own Pacific Division rivals, in a series that wasn't even close. And if you watch those games, you know exactly what happened. This wasn't just a bad matchup or a hot goalie stealing a series. This was a team that had nothing left in the tank. 2 deep playoff runs will do that to you. The miles add up. The hits add up. The late nights, the travel, the pressure, all of it catches up eventually, and for the Oilers, it caught up at the worst possible time. Anaheim came in with a game plan, and they executed it perfectly against a worn-down, exhausted Edmonton squad. The Ducks were fresh, they were hungry, and they made the Oilers look every bit as tired as they were. It was painful to watch if you're an Oilers fan, but honestly, looking back, maybe it was inevitable. So now what? The playoffs are over for Edmonton, and the question becomes, what does this offseason look like? For some guys, the answer is simple. You rest, you recover. You come back next year ready to go. And that's exactly what you'd expect from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, 2 of the best players on the planet. And after everything they've given this team over 2 straight deep runs, they've more than earned the time off. Let the bodies heal. Let the minds reset. Nobody's going to question those 2 for putting their feet up this summer. But here's the thing, not everyone on this team is taking a break. Not everyone gets to just sit back and decompress, because for some players, there's still hockey to be played. And honestly, that's a story worth paying attention to, because the names involved and what they represent for Canada heading into the summer make this way more interesting than just a footnote on Edmonton's disappointing postseason. Tietzen's Darren Dreger, one of the most plugged-in reporters in the entire sport, broke the news that Evan Bouchard and Darnell Nurse have both been added to Team Canada's roster for the 2026 IIHF World Championship. 2 Oilers, 2 guys who just went through the grind of back-to-back playoff runs and then got bounced in round 1, and instead of heading to the beach, they're suiting up for their country. That says something about who they are as competitors, and it also says something about how highly Canada thinks of what they bring to the table. Let's start with Bouchard, because if you follow the NHL this past regular season, you know that this guy absolutely exploded. We're talking about one of the best seasons any defenseman in this league put together. 80 games played, 21 goals, 95 points. Read that again, 95 points from the blue line. That is elite production. That is Norris Trophy conversation. And the plus-minus? He finished at plus 25, which tells you he wasn't just putting up pretty numbers in garbage time. He was out there making a real impact on both ends of the ice. This is the best season Evan Bouchard has had in his entire career, and the timing of it could not be better for his profile heading into what everyone expects to be a very significant contract conversation. He's proven he belongs among the top offensive defensemen in this sport, and now he gets to go represent Canada on the world stage and keep building that momentum. For a guy who's been developing and climbing for the past few years, this feels like the moment where everything clicked, and he's riding that wave all the way into the summer. Canada is getting one of the hottest defensemen in hockey, and you'd have to think he's going to be one of their most important players at this tournament. Now, let's talk about Darnell Nurse, because this one is a very different conversation, and if you spend any time in Oilers circles, whether that's social media, local radio, or just talking to fans, you know exactly how complicated his situation is. Nurse signed an 8-year, $74 million extension ahead of the 2022-23 season. 8 years, $74 million. That is a massive commitment, And with a commitment that size comes massive expectations. And to put it plainly, the production just hasn't matched the price tag. Since signing that deal, he's topped 35 points just once. Once. For a defenseman, making that kind of money on a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, that's a problem, and Oilers fans have not been shy about expressing their frustration. This past season, Nurse finished with a -12 differential. On a team that was supposed to be a contender, that number sticks out. It raises questions about his effectiveness, about his deployment, about whether he's been put in situations to succeed, or whether he's just not been good enough. The criticism has been loud, and it's been consistent, and honestly, a lot of it has been fair. When you're making that kind of money and wearing that kind of contract, you don't get to hide from the scrutiny. But here's the flip side of that, and this is where the World Championship selection gets interesting. The reason Nurse is on Team Canada isn't because of his offensive numbers. It's not because of his plus-minus. It's because of what he brings to a locker room and what he brings to a defensive structure when you need someone who can eat minutes, play physical, and bring real experience in big moments. Nurse has been through back-to-back Stanley Cup final runs. He's played meaningful hockey at the highest level of the sport for multiple consecutive seasons. That experience doesn't show up in a box score, but it absolutely shows up when the games matter. And perhaps just as importantly, Nurse and Bouchard have been playing alongside each other for years now. They know each other's tendencies. They communicate without thinking. They've built the kind of defensive chemistry that you simply cannot manufacture overnight by throwing two guys together and hoping it works. When Canada puts those two out there, there's a comfort level and a familiarity that could be a genuine advantage as the tournament progresses. Now let's zoom out and look at the full picture for Team Canada heading into this tournament, because this isn't just a roster of plug-and-play guys filling spots. This is a legitimate contender being assembled with real firepower up front, and now a blue line getting reinforced with two guys who just came off playing in the NHL's highest pressure environment. Up front, Canada is led by John Tavares, a veteran presence, a natural leader, someone who has been in big moments throughout his career and knows how to set the tone in a dressing room. Alongside him, Mark Schifiel brings the kind of two-way game that international hockey rewards, a guy who can impact a game in multiple situations and has been one of Canada's most reliable forwards at the world level. And then there's Robert Thomas, who at this point in his career has established himself as one of the most complete and dangerous forwards in the entire game. These three at the core of Canada's forward group gives you something serious to build around. Add in the blue line depth that Bouchard and Nurse bring, one of them coming off arguably a top 5 Norris Trophy season, the other bringing the experience and the physical presence that Canada typically leans on. And you've got a roster that looks like a legitimate gold medal contender. The tournament officially begins on May 15th, and while the full roster hasn't been completely locked in just yet, the direction is clear. Canada is loading up. They're taking this seriously. And with Bouchard especially playing the way he's been playing, there's a real case to be made that he could be one of the standout performers in the entire championship, not just for Canada, but across the board. For the Oilers, this whole situation is bittersweet. Your season ended too soon, and in a way that stings. But two of your players are heading to represent their country and keep competing while the rest of the league prepares for the later rounds of the playoffs. That's a credit to Bouchard and Nurse as individuals, even if the circumstances that created the opening, getting eliminated in round 1, are nothing anyone in Edmonton wanted. The hope, obviously, is that both players come back from the World Championship healthy, energized, and ready to help the Oilers come back stronger next season. Because, make no mistake, with McDavid and Draisaitl at the top of the roster, Edmonton isn't going anywhere. This team will be right back in the conversation next year. But the early exit in 2026 is a reminder that window or not, nothing is guaranteed, and the margin between a deep run and an early exit can come down to something as simple as fatigue accumulated over too many months of high-stakes hockey. For now, Canada gets two Oilers who still have fire left in them, One looking to cement his legacy as one of the best offensive defensemen in the sport, and one looking to quiet his critics and remind the world why he was worth that investment in the first place. The 2026 IIHF World Championship starts May 15th. Both Bouchard and Nurse will be there. And for at least a little while longer, their hockey season isn't over yet.